Hello champions and future champions, hello Chessmood family. Gabuzyan is here with you and we are beginning with our daily lesson. Today we are going to touch a very important topic, which is going to be queen versus the pawn. Right now pawn is on the second rank, trying to be promoted, and we are going to review different situations when queen is winning against the pawn, some exceptional cases when it's a draw, and interesting techniques which we are going to use. For example, in this position, I will show you that whenever queen is able to go in front of the pawn, it's always winning, regardless which pawn opponent is having. In all scenarios, if queen is in front of the pawn, it's easily winning. Here white is going queen h4, king f3, queen e1, and later on just bringing the king into the game, closer to the pawn, taking it and mating opponent king. Let's go ahead to see the next position. This is already a scenario with the same pawn, but this time our queen is not having an option to get in front of the pawn, guys. So what do you think? Is it winning or is it not? You can pause the video and think about it. In case of pawn on the e-file, it's easily winning. White just goes queen d2. Now we're pinning the pawn and preventing promotion. If black goes king f3, we will go queen e1 and get the winning setup. If black now goes king f1, we're playing queen f4 check, king g2, queen e3. We're attacking the pawn, forcing opponent king to go back to f1 square. And once king is here, we're going queen f3 check. If king goes to the g side, the pawn will be lost. Otherwise, if king goes to e1, it's in front of the pawn. And now white is getting time to bring the king b7. If black is going king d2, the same is happening. With the checks, we are bringing this king to e1, forcing it to go there, and again winning a tempo, playing king c6. And in this way, side with the queen is easily winning. So in case of e-pawn, it's winning, guys. Let's go ahead to see the next position. Now we're having pawn on the g-file. What do you think? Is there gonna be any difference or no? It's absolutely the same, and white is winning with the same technique. Now just playing queen d6 check, king h1, queen h6 check, and after king g1, king b7. Again, bringing the king. Each time king is leaving this square, we're forcing it to go back and bringing our king closer and closer, eventually winning this game. So let's go ahead to see the next one. In this position, it's black to move, and I will ask you, is it winning for white or black is having some chances to make a draw? This is a super exceptional situation, and after e2, it's a draw, since white is not having any options to check black king. Promotion is unstoppable, and since the king is on d-file, no checks from the d-file as well. Extremely exceptional situation when black is not having pawn on some other spots, but is having on the e-file, where it's actually lost, but due to white's king and queen position, is able to draw. Some situations like this are possible, so you should be paying attention to the situation. If in this spot you cannot be giving a checks and as well pinning this pawn from somewhere, then it's a draw since opponent is promoting, guys. One more time, pay attention to this position because it's a very much exceptional situation. Let's go ahead to see the next one. In this position now, it's white to move. Seems a little bit complicated, so you can pause the video and try to win this for white. Those of you who are going king h4, with an idea after g1 queen to go king h3, and seems like queen f3 checkmate is unstoppable. Since queen is controlling all the other squares, this queen cannot be giving the checks and cover the square. Black suddenly has queen e3 check. Of course we have to take, and it's a stalemate. All the squares are covered. So, beginning king h4 is a huge mistake, and white is winning with our idea which we just learned. Going queen e4, pinning the pawn. King h2, queen h4 check, forcing king to go in front of the pawn, king g1, and just going king g4, bringing king closer, and winning this game, guys. So be careful and don't blunder some ideas like queen e3 check when you're having a queen. And when you are defending, having your mind, you will have such resources available. Let's go ahead to see the next one. Now we're having pawn on the f file, and situation is absolutely the same. So guys, I offer you to pause the video and think, is this winning for white or no? Suddenly, whenever a pawn is on the bishop line, so on the f or c, and opponent's king is too far, it's a draw. The thing is now, if we're trying to do our regular idea, going queen g4 check, king h2, queen f3 check, king g1, queen g3 check, if black here goes king f1, it's gonna be lost. King b7 will be played. But the bad news is that black is having king h1 move. And this time we cannot be taking since it's a stalemate, guys. Otherwise, if we're not taking, black is threatening to promote. If we're giving a check, black goes to g1 square. And again is threatening to promote. So we have no choice but to make a draw, as we're not getting any chance to bring our king closer, since black is having this stalemate idea. Very, very tricky, but pawn is able to make a draw against the queen. Let's go ahead to see the next one. Now we're having the same situation, I mean the same pawn, but king is much closer, and this will already be the winning difference. Now I will highlight for you the squares, in which case we're having a winning situation if it's our move and we're just gonna be able to stop the pawn. For example, whenever the king is on e4, it's not gonna be winning since we are not on time to stop it again. So here white just goes queen to d2, and here black has two moves. There is a tricky option if black tries to go king h1. Now, if we are taking, it's a stalemate. If we suddenly go king g3, we're again making a draw due to f1 knight promotion. After king h1, we are going just queen e2, stopping this. And whenever king g2 is happening, just king h4, giving tempo to the black king. This time it's already different, as after king h1 we're able to play king g3, and after king h4, if black goes king g1, same king g3 is winning. If promotes to knight, we just go king h3, otherwise any promotion and we're mating through h2 squares, guys. So, after queen d2, at the beginning if black is going king to g1, we are able already to play king to h3. And here is a crucial difference. Whenever black now promotes a queen, we go king g3. Compared to the example you saw previously when black king was on h1, this time black has this square and queen d3 is not a stalemate. Otherwise, black is just moving the queen and getting mated through the g2 square. I know, looks very tricky, so watch this carefully, guys, and try to remember. As well, let me mention that after king g1 here, again we're not able to go king to g3, since f1 knight is taking our queen. That's the reason we're allowing black to promote the queen with king h3, then going king to g3. Bit complex, once again repeating myself, so pay high attention to this daily lesson, guys. Let's now go ahead to see the next position. And here we're having a very complex and at the same time interesting example. It's white to move. If at the beginning we're trying to stop this pawn and just going queen f2, it's a stalemate, so we should be careful about this. We can play differently, but the strongest option is gonna be queen a6. Let me now show you what happens if white goes queen a1 check. King g2, queen g7 check, and suddenly black plays king f1. The idea is that now black just wants to play f2. And after king c6, f2, king d5, black is on time to play king e1. The issue is we're again getting this pawn. Our king will be running to this side of the board soon, when queen starts giving the checks, and black will be getting the drawish setup. For this reason, even the beginning queen a1 is wrong, and black is playing with queen a6. We're gonna be using very strong pinning technique, bringing our queen closer, at the same time pinning this pawn. Now we just want to play queen f1, so that's winning, as you know, queen in front of the pawn. If black here goes king g2, we're going queen c6. Queen g6 is also winning, let me mention. King g3, queen g6 check. King f2 and king c6. With pinning this pawn, we're preventing its advancement and already bringing our king closer. We're using the fact that this time pawn is fixed on the third rank, not on the second one, and black will not have these drawish ideas. After queen a6, if black goes king g1, we're obviously not playing queen b6 check, since now black is advancing f2 and again getting this drawish setup. For this reason, after king g1, we're playing queen g6 check. If king f1, queen d3 check. Again, we're going to force this king to go to f2. If it happens, we're bringing our king. And if it doesn't happen and black goes king g2, now we're playing queen e4. The good news is now black has either to go king f2, which is great for us, or if black goes king g3, we play king c6. And after f2, very importantly, we play queen h1, putting queen in front of the pawn and again bringing our king closer with the winning setup. Little bit tricky and difficult example, but if you know the right logic of these positions, what you are looking for, it will be easier to play and you will not have to remember all of these variations. You will just understand what are you going to do, what do you need to do, and we'll do it during the game. Let's go ahead to see the next position. At this moment, it's black to move. You can be pausing the video, guys, and trying to figure out if black is having some chases to survive here or black is absolutely lost. If now you are taking the pawn on d5, you are waiting the wrong side, guys. White plays f6, d4 f7, d3 f8 queen. And as you know, with this pawn, with the pawn on d file, which is the same as the e file, it's gonna be lost. After d2, white is just bringing the king and will be able to force black king to take this position, advancing the king further. Instead of taking on d5, black was having a chance to survive, since after e takes f5, black is getting the right bishop pawn. So d6, f4 d7, f3 d8 queen check. You may say pawn is still on the third rank, and that's right, but the thing is now that after king e2 we're not having checks again. King is doing very bad on the e file, so followed by e2, black is getting the drawish setup, guys. For this reason, black was surviving in this position. Let's go ahead to see the next example when we're already going to talk about next drawish pawn. Since I already revealed the secret that the pawn of the rook is drawish again, you just can pause the video and think how it's happening, guys. Now, if we're trying to bring our queen closer, queen e4 check, king g1, queen g4, black goes to h1. Okay, the king is in front of the pawn. But if now we're trying to bring our king, the bad news is it's a stalemate, cause pawn is at the edge of the board and opponent's king is not having any squares. After queen f3, black goes king g1, queen g3, king h1, it's the same. If we go queen f2 trying to make a checkmate, right now it's a stalemate, so we will ask our opponent for another move to make a checkmate, otherwise it's a draw. So, when king is too far and opponent's pawn is on the second rank, supported by the king, next to it, it's again drawish. Of course, if queen is in front of this pawn, it's gonna be winning. Let's go ahead to see the next position. This time, guys, I will try to highlight for you all the squares for the king when it's white to move and white is winning. White is winning if king is on e1, e2, d2, e2, e3, d3, d4, e4, e5, f5, f4, g4, h4, h5, and g5. All of these squares are winning. Of course, these squares as well if it's white to move. The reason is the following. For example, now white is winning with queen e1 check, king g2, queen e2 check, king g1, king g4. And after h1 queen promotion, white is just going king to g3. Checkmating black king on the next move. Black can be doing nothing about this. Let me now show you how white is winning when king is, for example, located on d4 square. White is just playing queen e1 check, king g2, queen e2 check, king g1, and here we're on time to go king to e3. Since after h1 queen promotion, white is mating with queen f2. So, dear players, we have seen the drawish and winning pawns, the pawn on the f file, pawn on the h file, and we have seen how close king should be whenever it's winning and whenever it's drawish. Let's go ahead to see a few more examples. For example, whenever it's the h pawn, but it's located on the third rank and it's our move, we're easily winning this. White here is winning with queen g5 check. If black goes king h2, we're winning with queen g4. There is no stalemate because black king is having a square here. After queen g5 check, if black is trying to go king to f2, we're forcing it to go to h2 square at the end. Queen h4 check, king g2 and queen g4 check, king h2 and king b7, giving move to the opponent and taking this pawn, which is winning. So whenever pawn is on the third rank and we're having these options to prevent it going to h2, we're winning. Let's go ahead to see the next one. Now we added another pawn on h7 for the defending side. What do you think? Is it making a difference or no? You can pause the video and think if it's winning in case if it's white to move. This time white is gonna be winning since because of this pawn there is no stalemate available. White is playing queen g5 check, king f2, queen f4, king g2, queen g4. And the thing is now after king h1 we're going queen g3 using the fact there is a pawn on h7 and that there is no stalemate right now. So after h5 we're playing queen f2, and as I mentioned previously, if we're getting another move, we're mating. So it's happening h4 and queen f1 checkmate. So extra pawn is very bad in this case for the defending sides. So dear players, we have seen a lot of examples in this topic, tried to provide you most important theoretical positions. Now you know the key squares, location of the king when it's winning and when it is not. We know then the dangerous pawns from the draw perspectives are pawns of the bishop and of the rook. Now let's go to the next position, which will be your homework for this topic. This time again the defensive side is having second pawn, but already in a bit different location. So your goal is to figure out whether it's winning for white or it is not. You can be sharing your thoughts and ideas in the comments section below. Gabuzyan was here with you. Thank you for subscriptions, likes and sharing this video with your friends. We appreciate it a lot. See you next time during our next daily lessons.